Coulson. So, how has it been so far working as a digital account supervisor for Zulu Alpha Kilo?
It's been really interesting. I have a background in digital and public relations, but this is my first role with an advertising agency. So I've learned a lot of different things since I've come to Zulu. I primarily run the social media for Tim Hortons, which is a big deal in Canada. I think they're a little bit well known, especially in
Yeah.
Hamilton. So that's a lot of fun, and I get to do a lot of different things every day. Some days I'm on photo shoots or TV shoots for commercials. Other days I just have a lot of meetings in the office. I often get to work with a lot of different people in the agency, from creatives to producers to photographers, videographers, and so on. I get to work with a lot of different people who do a lot of different things in order to create our social media posts or ads. It's really interesting, and Zulu's a really great place.
Nice. Interesting. Do you feel like you belong in this department, which is as an account supervisor?
As an account supervisor,
Yeah.
specifically in digital,
Yes.
I think it's something I very much enjoy. I think digital and social media is definitely an area that's continuing to grow, especially in advertising, as more people are consuming content on their phones. You're videoing me with your phone right now.
Yeah.
And less so on TV or through traditional media. So I think it's a very cool area to be in, and it's one that I'm very interested in, and I see a lot of growth opportunities.
Interesting. Do you think you ever do you ever think you would reach this level? Did you ever think you would reach this level or stage of your career when you decided to take marketing?
That's a funny question, actually. I think back when I was a student, this is kind of the spot that I dreamed of being in. And once you actually get to this point in your career, you kind of have to take a step back for a moment and realize, oh, this is what I've been working toward all this time, and now I'm finally here. And I haven't stopped working towards the next step. So sometimes you have to take a step back and realize that you need to take a minute to enjoy where you're at, because you've reached your goals without really realizing it.
Yeah, and in such a short time.
Yeah, I guess so. It's been about 6 years in the industry, 5 years.
Nice. How does your role position fit into corporate hierarchy?
Into the corporate hierarchy?
Yeah.
Well, Zulu doesn't really have much of a hierarchy, kind of. We all work together in kind of like a very open office setting, and although there are different levels, we have very few levels. We have account executives, account supervisors, and directors, and then there's a few levels above that that are like kind of our executive level. But everyone just works together very collaboratively, and you never really feel like there's much of a hierarchy, because everyone just sort of jumps in to help where they're needed. Whether you're an account supervisor or a director. For example, I'm doing some work right now that usually a community manager would do, but they needed some help in a different area of social, so I offered to jump in. So in terms of how I fit into the hierarchy here at Zulu, I would say quite well, because it's not much of a hierarchy. We're pretty like even keeled across the board, and I'm definitely a team player, and that's sort of what Zulu looks for in their employees. So yeah.
Nice. Could you give me like a list of your responsibilities?
Yeah, it kind of changes day to day. Like I said earlier, the main role that I was hired for at Zulu was to help manage the account side for Tim Hortons social media. So that includes like creating all of the content and managing the platforms for Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and some other digital things for Tim Hortons. And it just kind of depends on the day. So right now, the social media work is a little bit less for me. So I'm helping out on some award submissions for Zulu. We're currently submitting to Cannes Lions, which you guys probably know is a really big advertising competition. It's one of the biggest ones in the world, and it's quite prestigious. I'm also working on a newsletter that we send out weekly to Tim Hortons that includes kind of some trends in like the marketing and advertising world in the QSR space, that's quick service restaurant, and just like information on coffee trends and trends from competitors. So that's something really cool, and that's fun to do. That feels a little bit more like schoolwork sometimes than office work, but it's a nice little weekly project. Yeah, it kind of changes day to day.
Nice. How is your day different from your other colleagues in the department?
I would say that because I do focus on the social and digital parts of Tim Hortons, my day differs quite a bit because most of my colleagues are more so on the traditional advertising side of things, where they're more often doing commercials and radio spots, whereas my work is similar but smaller scale. So it's almost like I'm producing a commercial every couple days for Tim Hortons Social versus a long 30-second TV spot. So that is quite different, and my knowledge tends to be in a slightly different area than that of my colleagues.
Thank you. Is there anything you would like to change about your role currently?
I'd like to make some more money. No, I'm still relatively new at Zulu. I haven't been here for quite a year yet. I'll be here for a year in June. So I'm not looking for any changes in my role right now. When you've been somewhere for less than a year, even though it can feel like a lifetime, realistically it hasn't been that long. And you need to be with the company for a while before you know what your next step is.
Okay. What have you carried along with you that has helped you to stay focused?
There's a couple different things. One thing that often stays with me, I learned from one of my public relations professors in college, and they always said, "Fake it till you make it." And that's something that I say very often, and my colleagues and my friends also say very often. A lot of the time in this industry, you're kind of guessing what your next steps are. You don't always know. And your clients, when you're working in account services, your clients are going to be looking to you for answers. So you just kind of have to put a smile on and act confident, even if inside you're kind of scared and not sure what to do. You just kind of keep moving forward, and like I said, act confident and act like you know what you're doing, and then all of a sudden you just will.
Nice. How do you cope with overwork or stress sometimes when you're rushing for deadlines?
That's a really great question. I always ensure that I am leaving time for myself outside of work hours. Even if sometimes that means I'll be in the middle of something, if it's 5 or 6 p.m. or just late in the day. Sometimes I'll just say, you know what, this can wait till tomorrow. Like, I need to take some downtime in order to complete this and complete it successfully. Mental health is a very big priority in the workplace. It's kind of at the forefront of people's minds these days, and Zulu recognizes that for sure. So if anyone at Zulu ever sees, for example, that you're struggling, you're a little bit overwhelmed, they always are the first to kind of offer help if you need it, to give you the opportunity to take time off if you're feeling like you're burnt out. They really encourage you to take advantage of your vacation days. For example, we even have a rule here at Zulu where we don't send any internal emails unless they're very important or client-facing after 7 p.m. or before 8 a.m. And that really helps employees maintain that work-life balance. And then in terms of meeting deadlines, I carry my notebook everywhere with me. You'll see this with pretty much anyone working in an agency. We just write down every single thing. Taking notes is the most important thing. Writing down your to-do list at the start of every day. thinking about how much time you're going to dedicate to a task or how much time it will take you to complete a task. Just planning ahead is key.
Okay. You've been working in the digital for quite some time. Is there anybody that has offered you help, like when you were in distress or something?
Yeah, absolutely. Every agency that I've been at, I've always had some really great mentors or colleagues that I can look to for help. In all of my agencies, not even just my boss, but other senior colleagues, I've kind of always identified someone who I've connected with, whether or not it was my boss. And I think that's important to keep in mind, is that when you're in the workspace, you don't always just have to go to your direct supervisor whenever you need help. You can kind of reach out to whoever you may have connected with at your workplace, or kind of identify someone that you can relate to and ask them to act as a bit of a mentor for you. There's always been someone that I found like that, who I like to go out for coffee with like once a month, just have a bit of a check-in, talk about work and life with, and kind of get that unbiased opinion, especially from someone who you're not working with every single day on the same projects.
Okay, and I have a question about Tim Hortons. You say you manage the digital account for Tim Hortons. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
Why? And I feel like Starbucks is like your main competition.
Yeah.
So why don't you guys do like something like a promotion for like let me give you an example. Like in America they have like Wendy's and McDonald's. They go like back and forth sometimes with their tweets. Why don't you guys do that? Don't you think like it would boost your sales or something as a friendly competition?
Absolutely. Tim Hortons is in an interesting place with the corporation and its business operations. They've obviously gone through a lot in the past few years since they've been acquired by RBI, and have gone through a lot of operational changes. Not all Canadians love that. So that's constantly something we're trying to manage, and we're always dealing with both the lovers and the haters on social media. Obviously, there's a lot of trolls out there. We love that approach that brands like Burger King or Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts take. It's very fun. However, we always have to think about what the brand's priorities are and what our brand tone is. So Tim Hortons, for example, is all about inclusivity and togetherness, and kind of making everyone feel at home when they come to Tim Hortons. And we're also, I'd say, a very family-friendly brand. So that kind of almost snarky tone that you might see from Burger King, poking fun at McDonald's sometimes, that is a lot of fun, but it's not necessarily our style. However, we are trying out new things with the brand. For example, yesterday on Instagram, we actually did an Ask Me Anything, like you would see on Reddit, with our new butter pecan tart. So we had a little butter pecan sitting in a tiny little armchair on Instagram stories, and our audience could send in questions to the butter pecan and it would answer. So that's kind of a fun thing, and we definitely felt like that was a little bit more in like the playful realm, like you would see from a Burger King or a Starbucks. So we're definitely trying to expand our brand tone and try new things.
Okay, I feel like it's an important question I should ask.
Sure.
Does your company do like an internship, and how close would anybody be able to apply for a nearest internship at this company?
So Zulu is a really interesting company. It's independent, and that's always been very important to Zulu. We don't belong to any of kind of the big global conglomerates that are holding companies for a lot of like advertising shops or PR shops or whatever. And that independence allows us to operate in a very unique way, which is that we have a very strong stance against a few things, one of which is like spec work, for example, which is what a lot of agencies do. They kind of do spec work for pitches, which is essentially creating work for free for brands whenever they're looking for a new advertising shop. We don't do that because we don't believe in doing work for free. And it would be really hypocritical of us at Zulu if we were asking students to come in and intern here and we weren't paying them. So Zulu actually has a stance against internships. We, in fact, offer employeeships. So rather than hiring interns for free and asking them to do work for us for free, we hire students with little to no experience, and we pay them for 1 year under an employeeship to work within the agency space and kind of get their first taste, first experience in the industry, and we 100% pay them for the work that they do. So our employeeship for 2019 is about to open up. I'm not sure of the exact date, but it's coming very soon.
For how long how many days a week would the person have, from what time to what time?
I believe it's full time, just kind of a 9 to 5 position. However, in the agency industry, whether it's public relations or advertising or any kind of marketing, 9 to 5 is kind of a guideline versus a rule. We often work outside of those hours, just depending on what our deadlines are, what our client demands are, and so on.
Would the person be able to work from your different branches that you guys have?
We don't have any other branches. This is the only Zulu office. We are just over 100 employees. Everyone works in this office. We're spread out across a couple different floors and a couple different buildings, which makes for like a little bit of a campus almost. It's kind of fun. But out of the 100 plus employees, we have people working all over the GTA. We have a lot of people who come in from Hamilton every day, actually, and all over the place. So we are centrally located. There is flexibility. You can work from home. You can go take appointments, do whatever you need to do, just as long as you get your work done. That's ultimately what it's about.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.